Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 20th to the 26th of May 2013. Last week Mercury went into Gemini. Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini, so we've felt the pace speed up. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun and orbits very quickly around the Sun, and it actually affects us and our thought processes in very quick ways. So we're tuning into thought fields now, we're feeling more inspired, we're getting quicker ideas coming through. We may be speaking quicker, and we may be running around a little bit more with that Mercury energy in the air sign of Gemini, which is to do with communication, inspiration, manifestation. On Monday this week, though, the Sun joins Mercury in that sign. So when the Sun passes through the sign of Gemini from the 20th of May to the 21st of June, which is the summer solstice, the Sun is reaching its peak. The summer solstice on the 21st to the 24th of June is where the Sun's at its height, the longest daylight hours before the Sun begins its decline. So Gemini, with the twin pillars, represents the light half of the year and the dark half of the year. And we're coming to the point where the light half of the year hands over to the dark half of the year as we then descend in solar power down to the winter solstice in Sagittarius, where the Sun is reborn. So the story of Gemini is the twin pillars of light and dark. This can often manifest esoterically inside us as all polarity, so it could be masculine, feminine, inner and outer, lower and higher, personality and soul. But mostly with Gemini, what you'll find is the best use of your energies is to contemplate where are the polarities inside of you and to find fusion, because that's what Gemini's message is. And when we see in the tarot the Lover's card, then that's clearly depicted in that imagery. So Monday, the Sun going into Gemini for a whole month. On Tuesday, there's a much deeper aspect going on. We have Pluto squaring Uranus. And this began last year and will go on for the next 3 or 4 years. It's a very serious aspect. When we think back to the 60s, Pluto and Uranus were conjunct, they were together, and this is what kick-started a lot of the civil rights movements. It's to do with society. They're big outer planets with a message to deliver. So on Tuesday we get the exact square of Pluto and Uranus. Now Pluto is in Capricorn and has been since 2008, where as soon as Pluto entered Capricorn we began to see economic decline, depressions, recessions and all sorts of fundamental groundswell changes going on in government. It's a very slow working aspect, but Pluto deconstructs and Capricorn is about establishment. Establishment is fine if it serves us, but what Pluto's come along to do is get rid of anything that doesn't serve us anymore. And the negative aspects of Capricorn are greed, overly ambitious but with no soul attachment to the goal. So we're dealing with the deconstruction of the old ways that no longer serve us. With Uranus is in Aries, and this began last year, or the year before actually. Uranus in Aries is to do with eclectic, rebellious, brand new, visionary thinking. And Aries is to do with fresh energy and passion and desire and drive. So what we're seeing with the Uranus in Aries combination so far is a reawakened knowledge of free energy forms, just how much that could change the planet if we didn't have to pay for energy, if all food and medication and clothing and education suddenly became free for all. It would be the equalizer that Aquarius is looking for, and Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So that kind of humanitarian visage, but more to do with how that's practically possible. So we've got an exciting new current coming in with thinking differently, with Uranus and Aries, a little bit like rewiring the brain. So where Pluto is deconstructing, Uranus is coming in and saying, and this is the better way that we can progress forwards. We're not going to fix the problem with the same thinking that caused the problem. We need to think radically differently, and that's the job of Uranus. So it's a very powerful aspect on Tuesday, but this could be reflected in society as their outer planets, and we may see some tensions like in the 60s because something's got to give. and this is a square aspect, so these two planets are going to be pushed to their limits. So watch the news and look at what's going on in the outer world as well as what's going on in your inner world to see how that square is actually manifesting itself. But it's all for the greater good. Then on the 25th of May, which is Saturday, we have a partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. So we're seeing that Gemini-Sagittarius aspect again, and we have a partial lunar eclipse. So this is when we get to kind of see into the dark places, contact your inner sage. Sagittarius is about old ancestral wisdom and knowledge. So wisdom is knowledge applied, and wisdom has to be felt into, it has to be known on a cellular and eternal level. So we may be privy to some deep meditation, some deep revelation as we go deeply into the dark of the full moon in Sagittarius and explore that which has always been true, that which we know is real, and maybe manage to sidestep some of the quick thinking Gemini mind, which is more of a day-to-day aspect, and go deeper and reconnect with what's very real and what's very knowledgeable and truthful inside of ourselves. So it's a very deep full moon, partial lunar eclipse at 5:26 a.m. on Saturday. So you may want to plan your sleep, you may want to actually meditate before you go to sleep, or ask for revelations in your sleep on Friday night so that you can tune in with that full moon. Or if you're an early bird, you might want to get up at 5:26 a.m. and do your meditation in that state. So it's up to you, but those are the major aspects that are going on this week. So I'll see you next week.